Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome everyone to this episode of Reel to Reel Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it is time once again to talk all things movies. And joining me as always are the other Reel to Reel talkers, Paul Britton and Susan Chisholm. Team, we love the Oscars, and we enjoy talking about Oscar films. And today we once again, I think it's been a bit since we've done this, we're going to talk Oscar winners. And so Paul, if you don't mind, maybe talk a little bit about how we do this for those who might be listening for the first time, and a little bit about why we love to do this particular topic.
So the idea behind this one is Sergio and I don't know if we can speak for Susan on this one, but Sergio and I, at least, love watching the Oscars and get really excited about the Oscars coming up. And I, as well as Sergio, are trying to fill in the gaps of the Oscar winners that we have seen. I'm such an insane person. I even try to fill in the gaps of Oscar nominees that I've seen. But that's for later. So the idea of this segment was, well, why don't we actually put a segment in so that we're forced to actually fill in those gaps rather than falling back to the movies that we see over and over again. Yeah. And it works for Susan too, because she could use her list to actually chip away at her list, and because there are definitely lots of Oscar winners on her horrifically long list. I'm not envious of your list, Susan, but there we are. So that's the conceit. So we pick a Oscar-winning movie that we have not seen, and we talk about it, and maybe even, if applicable, frame it in the reference. Maybe have a conversation of, okay, well, what did win that year, or what didn't win that year that we thought maybe was better and could have or should have won.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey on the times we've done this. Susan, speaking of your list, I don't know that as fast as you're watching, if it isn't still growing as people continue to add, people being me, keep adding to your list.
Both of you. No, not just
Paul,
both of you.
I'll share the blame. I'll share the blame. But yeah, and so before we get into it, Susan, a little bit from you. You've had this conversation with us now a few times, and what is it like for someone who is expanding your scope of movies you watch to explore some of these Oscar winners from the past?
I mean, it's tough because there are a lot of movies that I haven't seen, and even just looking at the lists of nominees and stuff, I like what Paul was saying. I can't necessarily speak to what should have won that year because I haven't seen any of the movies. It seems like I have an odd. I mean, I guess before being forced to expand myself, the movies that I watched were not necessarily ones that would be considered for Oscars, or ones that would be in that same range or caliber, I guess.
Sure.
And so this is kind of pushing my quality of movies up, I guess. and
with the exception of Shakespeare in Love, which you didn't like.
I mean,
it was all right with Dennis the Menace.
Sit here on the bench.
Right. But so I mean, it does help to kind of force me to push a little bit closer to what would be around in typical movie watching circles, I guess.
Yeah.
It does help a bit.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, for me, the journey is such that I think if I go back about 20 years, I can speak to just about every single Best Picture winner and its nominees in terms of I've seen just about most of them. So for me, the fun is going further back. And that's this week is we're going to have an example of that, where I need to expand my knowledge of older cinema, more classic black and white, even some silent films and so forth. So it's just I think I love the fact that it pushes all of us into a place where, you know, either we're filling gaps or we're exploring new eras, or you know, we're just expanding our scope of film. And so it's always fun to have this conversation. So if you guys don't mind, what I'd like to do is I'll begin this time around, and then we'll go to Paul, and then Susan, if you'll close us out on our exploration of past Oscar winners. And I'm going to say that I'm a little bit proud of myself this time around, because as I mentioned, I did go further back in time to an era of movies that I'm not overly familiar with. Not so far back, it was 1955, and when this movie was released. And it stars one of my favorite actors that I used to see in just about everything, it seemed, and that's Ernest Borgnine. Because the movie I chose was Marty. I've been wanting to see this for the simple reason that it's, again, a chance for me to see him in a starring role, in a lead. Plus, again, it falls in the realm of a time that I'm not overly familiar with when it comes to Oscar pictures or movies in general. Marty is the story of a guy who is in his mid-30s, 34, it comes up several times in the film, who is a bachelor. He's not found the girl. He's a bit of a homely guy. In his own words, he's heavy set, doesn't have a high view of himself. And you learn through the course of this film that he has been down on his luck in terms of dating and finding the right woman. And he's a kind soul. He's a butcher by trade. And, you know, here he is. He's at home living with his mother, taking care of her. Good Italian boy, you know. And it's a situation where he's resigning himself to the fact that he's going to more than likely live his life as a bachelor alone, taking care of mama. And it's funny because when I first started watching it, I didn't do any reading on it because I wanted to take it in on its own. And I don't know why I thought it was going to be a bit of a comedy. It has some funny moments, but this was more a romantic drama. And the thing about this film is, obviously, if you were to watch it, and you know, Paul, I believe you have, it's a very different time. There are different standards by which you know, behavior is measured. And so there are a couple of moments in the film where you're like, okay, why'd you do that? I mean, because what ends up happening is he meets Clara. He goes to the local social dance club, or dance hall, I guess it is, and he goes with one of his bachelor friends, and it's very reluctantly because his mother's been insisting, you know, hey, you should go out, find a girl. My favorite line is, you'll go to the Stardust dance hall and it's full of tomatoes. Tomatoes being a reference to a lot of single women that he could possibly find. Yeah. And so he goes
right for the picking.
Exactly, yeah. And so, of course, because the story being the story, this is the night in which he meets Clara. Clara herself, very much in the same boat as Marty, in that she's not the most attractive. She's very plain, in her own words. It hurt me every time they used the reference dog, because that's how they would refer to women back then. They were plain and homely in you know, the eyes of the guys. Very, very chauvinistic men in this movie at some points. But they connect, and the movie becomes the struggle that Marty has, as both his family and his friends are very against the notion of him having a relationship with this girl. His mother, who has been on him about, you need to find a nice girl and get married, flips the script because he meets her briefly for a couple of minutes. Even Marty says, you met her for 2 minutes. But she's like, I don't like this girl. She's not a nice Italian girl. And so all of a sudden, and what you know by seeing is that his mother's sister, herself a widow, has been invited to live with Marty and his mother, to get her out of the hair of his brother and sister-in-law, because, you know, she's the typical mother-in-law who's just, you know, against the wife. But by the time the movie starts rolling, and because there's a very long sequence from the point that they meet, he and Clara, through the coffee shop they go to talk, and he's just a whole different person. He's like, I can't stop talking. I don't know what it is about you, but I find it so easy to talk to you. And it's really sweet. And he's convinced, I'm going to call her. I'm going to call you tomorrow. We're going to get together, go see a movie. And the rest of the movie plays out as his friends and his mother try to dissuade him. It ends quite abruptly. It does, however, leave a moment of, gosh, it's because he doesn't call Clara, he stands her up, but then he has this very angry tirade against his friends where he basically says, and it's 1955, so I don't mind spoiling, because Ernest Borgnine delivers what I believe was the dialogue that probably captured Best Actor for him that year. When he tells his friends, I don't care what you guys say, if she'll have me, I'm going to ask her to marry me. I'm going to get down on my knees and beg her to marry me because I know she's the one. And it was just you're left in that moment of what's going to happen, because the last scene is he finally calls Clara, and she answers the phone, but then it goes to black. And so it was, I really loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Ernest Borgnine was amazing. The actor who played Clara was, spot on. His mother and his aunt, goodness gracious. So, very stereotypical,
The worst. Like, yeah. Just literally the worst.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, goodness. And I think his mother, well-meaning, but his aunt, not so much. I think she's just bitter.
Yeah. And
it did make me wonder, because his brother, Tommy, there's that whole subplot. The way he talks to his wife was just very off-putting. And I'm like, golly, okay, I know you're having to move mama out of your house, but this is a good thing. Like, because she was in their business all the time. And so, yeah. Very, very, very big, just a lot of cultural stuff that I had to really sort of absorb and remember what time frame this was. And, it was a little bit shocking, but overall from a quality of film, I really enjoyed this. I can't compare it against the other nominees that year, but I can certainly see the way in which the story is relatable. I can see, of course, the acting was phenomenal. And for the time, the direction, very patient, in the scenes, letting them build and play out, because these were long, long scenes. And yeah, I can honestly see, okay, this is a Best Picture worthy winner. And so I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to see it.
Yeah, totally in your wheelhouse. So much dialogue.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Much dialogue.
Yeah.
Lots of talking. This movie does have an interesting. There are people who don't care for this movie, and it's not like held in super high esteem as an Oscar winner. But I was going through the list of Oscar nominees, not even just Best Picture nominees, but everything else that was nominated, and it's like I just don't see anything else there that like would have. And I haven't seen remotely even a quarter of the movies that are on that list, but like it's so like you said, it's so relatable, and it's such a human film, and I think for that it's deserving of the win. Like I love the humanity in this movie, and how relatable everything is, and just how you just hate his mother so much. It's just the worst. Just the absolute worst. It's like, you've been telling me to go find somebody, and I find somebody, and she's not good enough for you. It's like, stop. Just stop. Come on, people. I
also have to say, the other thing that I found quite shocking was the price of stuff.
Oh yeah.
He's talking about buying a business for $5,000. I can scrape up $4,000, and I'm like, oh man, if only.
Right.
And so yeah,
so you can buy that new couch that you wanted. Then, huh?
Exactly. My laptop cost me, one of my first laptops, and here he is talking about he's buying a butcher shop, and
the expense steaks 99 cents a pound. What?
Exactly. So yeah, 1955's Marty, Best Picture winner, was my choice. I'm curious to hear from the both of you. So Paul, we'll go to you next, and let's see what you came up with.
So I too went way back, but I wanted to go way, way back. And I literally was like, okay, which Best Picture nominee is out on a service that I can see for free that is like the earliest possible one that I can see? And I found the third ever Best Picture winner, which is All Quiet on the Western Front.
I almost did that one.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, especially after I literally told you last week this is the one I'm doing. But
I forgot.
Honestly, I would have just laughed and been mad. It would have been a wonderful combination of the two.
Ooh, good thing I changed.
Yeah. So, All Quiet on the Western Front. I gotta say, so I went in blank slate on this one, other than like it's really when you're doing film classes, it's one that is very frequently included in film classes. I didn't know a whole lot about it, but I friggin' love this movie. I even went back after watching it. I went back to see if I could find like some kind of scholarly write-ups on it, primarily because what I was interested in was because this is 1930 that this movie comes out. It's about World War I, and so it's follows some young Germans that have been egged on by their jingoistic professor to join the war effort because it's your patriotic duty and for Germany, and wouldn't it be glorious to die for your country, and ba 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 ba. And it's the way I'll describe it is, it is definitely, if not the first, one of the first modern war movies. Like it is a precursor to Platoon. It is a precursor to Born on the 4th of July. It's a precursor to The Five Bloods, which we saw, we covered earlier. It is not a precursor to just about every John Wayne movie like The Green Berets or anything like that. It is not that kind of movie. Like it is not trying to glorify war at all, and quite frankly, just the opposite. It is just telling the absolute horrors of war, and does it. I mean, this is 1930. This is before. I mean, this is before the Nazis. Like the Nazis don't win their. The Nazis are already a thing, but they're not a thing that like anybody in the United States, where this movie, the people who made this were clearly Americans, and they wouldn't know about this, this tiny little party, the Nazi party that, at this point probably had little to no influence. It was prior to Hitler being elected, and so, but I mean, it really feels like it could have been made in like 1945, or even 1942, in the middle of World War II, where it's just like, this is the horrors of, German nationalism. But the book was written by a German guy, and it's literally just, this is the horrors of nationalism, and this is the horrors of war today. And the things that happen are graphic. I mean, so this is pre-code, before any sort of ratings or anything like that were going on. And it is really friggin' graphic what's happening. And, I really don't want to spoil anything on this movie because I'm sure most people haven't seen it. And like, I don't want the impact of the images to be lessened, because I hope some people will actually go look for it. It's available on the service Tubi, which is a free service. The downside is that there are commercials thrown in the middle, but it's not overly distracting. It's it's fine. You get the whole movie still. I can't recommend this movie enough. I really can't. It's really freaking good. The acting is fantastic. For 1930, it's still very melodramatic, but not distractingly so. Like the movie I did last time was Lost Weekend, and that was like super hyper melodramatic and like almost to a fault. Whereas this one, not at all. Like just you're in it the whole time. You understand the horrors of what people are going through. You understand that that how this group of young soldiers become the hardened group. At one point, he gets furlough and goes back home and visits the professor, and the professor's like, you know, this is 2-3 years later, you know, like the war's been dragging on, and that professor is still doing this to a new group of students, and it's just like heartbreaking and horrible, and like the kid, and he implores the kid to give a speech about how glorious it is to fight, and he gives this speech, but he's like, don't fucking do this, you know, and like this is all wrong. And it's just, it's, as a bleeding heart liberal, it's everything you would want from a war movie.
Sure,
So yeah.
I do look forward to watching it. You've given it an even more compelling description than even from what I've read.
Yeah.
I'm glad that made the list, because again, the further back I go, the more I realize there's just so much film out there that I still need to see, and it's good stuff. All right, so we've heard from Paul and myself. Susan, we'll give it over to you to find out what you watched.
So I watched something that I thought I had seen, but I had not seen all the way through. I had just seen like a very small portion of it. So I watched American Beauty.
Oh.
It was weird.
Yeah.
So it's from 1999. If you haven't seen it by now, sorry, you're gonna get spoilers. So it kind of goes through following a man. His name is Lester. He kind of is going through like a midlife crisis almost, where like he's indifferent. You know, his wife and he kind of barely tolerate each other. His daughter is, you know, typical teenager, hates her parents. And so as he's going through, he's actually talking about his death, like the weeks preceding his death. Like he's narrating what happened. So we come to find out that you know, his wife is, you know, they're kind of just barely keeping it together on the surface. Like the flame is gone essentially. And so he's trying to bond with his daughter, and they go to like an event where he meets his daughter's best friend, who is this like super popular, gorgeous, like cheerleader, and he immediately is like infatuated with her, kind of like you know, and everything he does is because he wants to impress her. Mm-hmm. We talk about, and then we also find out that his daughter finds the next door neighbor is just like, she becomes basically infatuated with the next door neighbor guy. And so through everything that goes on, like each person starts to kind of have their own like identity crisis, I guess. Like the wife she like becomes a real estate agent and starts having an affair with the top seller guy so that she could learn his tricks of his trade or whatever. And it's almost ridiculous. Like it's a caricature of kind of how everything happens. And Lester quits his job and goes to work at like a fast food joint so that he doesn't have to think about anything. And that's how he actually finds out that his wife is having an affair, because they go through the drive-through and they're like, really, yeah, it's kind of weird. And he just kind of like doesn't care. He shrugs. And I think that like that destroys his wife more than him finding out. It's finding out that he doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Kind of like, he's actually happy for her.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, because it's like, you know, in a situation where typically, you know, you'd be pissed off, he'd be furious. He was just kind of like, wow, okay, all right, cool. And so it kind of like almost sets him free to do what he wants to do, in terms of like he starts like exercising to like impress Angela, the daughter's best friend. And he ends up connecting with the neighbor guy that is in love with her son, in love with his daughter.
Yeah.
And, you know, starts like smoking weed with him and stuff like that. And so the father of the next door neighbor kid is really like military, doesn't take shit, will literally beat you up if, you know, you go against his wishes and stuff like that. And so he's concerned about the relationship with his son and Lester, and he gets the wrong idea about it, when really it's like they're just kind of getting together and smoking weed and just talking about life, and he somehow thinks that it's that they're having a gay relationship.
Right.
And you know, in the earlier part of the movie you see like that he's very homophobic, he's very like not okay with that stuff. And at whatever point he decides to confront Lester, and instead of like accusing him of being gay with his son, he actually like kisses him. Because I think he's like questioning himself, I guess. Yes. And that's what part of the whole conflict within him is, that he's questioning in and of himself, and when like Lester kind of lets him down easy, he's super embarrassed, of course. Yep. And so takes off. But like everything is building up and going on, like his son and Lester's daughter like talking about running away and moving to New York and just being together and being wonderful. And the best friend is like, no, you can't do that to me. And then ends up with Lester like, okay, they're like, finally we're ready to have sex finally. And then she's like, I'm a virgin. And right. He's like, oh, done. Turns off everything that was going on. And he starts to be like, okay, you know what, this isn't right, we shouldn't do this. And so yeah, there's so many different little tiny storylines going on at the same time, and it like finally all gets together when like at the end we find out that he gets shot because of, you know, the military guy is just can't handle that kind of like thing looming over him, or that embarrassment, I guess. And so it kind of ends everything, but it even still seems like at the end Lester's still happy with what happened, like all the stuff that happened in the last like 2 weeks or so. So happy ending.
Yeah, and that sums up the ending very well. Oh, yeah. That sums up the ending very well.
Is it? I mean, but is it a happy ending? Because he's not unhappy anymore.
I think you're left. That's the question you're left with. That's the beauty of the movie.
American,
yeah. That's the movie.
I mean, he finally had the light. So that's the question: is it better that he died knowing that he, you know, at a point where he finally had the life that he wanted, or is it horrible because he didn't get to enjoy that life, or was it all just so horrible that, you know what, maybe it's best that he's not around anymore? I don't know. There's so many different ways to go.
I mean, I maybe just because I try to be overly positive about everything. I think the first one where it's like, hey, he finally got to live the life he wanted. He died happy. Yeah, everything was kind of a trip. I mean,
yeah.
The visuals were everything it was visually just a beautiful movie. I mean, there were
and one for best cinematography also.
It did, yeah. So, I mean, the parts of it that were kind of hokey, like the plastic bag in the wind is so beautiful, and it's like
but the kid was hokey, like that was just who that kid was. It's just brilliant. And
I mean, it fit in there, but it was just kind of like, what am I looking at here? But I mean, yeah, if you're able to if you're able to keep up with all of the, and I think it makes it easier to do it. I just was kind of like, again, not feeling 100%, and keeping up with all of the storylines and putting them all into place where it's easy to describe. Yeah, it's I really liked it. I thought it was a great movie.
Good, great.
Yeah,
excellent. I'm good. I'm very happy about that. I do want to spin this, and Susan, I'm going to assume that you have seen at least some of the movie. Like, you've seen Sixth Sense, right? Maybe not. Oh, no. Okay. So, then I'm going to primarily ask this of Sergio then, but I mean, Sergio, this 1999, so the Academy Awards in 2000, stacked.
Oh yeah,
absolutely stacked year. Like, and so sometimes you have sometimes you have a year where it's like there's like 3 or 4 movies that are just like fantastic, like just all-time amazing years, all-time amazing movie years. And then sometimes you just have a year where there's maybe one or two that are like really, really, really good, but like you have like a dozen that are just so good. It's just like, oh my God, how, and that's one of these years. So, you know, movies, I'm just going to list the movies that were not nominated for Best Picture. The Hurricane was not nominated. Magnolia, one of my all-time favorite movies, was not nominated. The Talented Mr. Ripley, which has a lot of people that love that movie, not nominated. You know, Being John Malkovich, again, another one of my all-time favorite movies, not nominated. These are movies that were not nominated. And then even the Best Picture nominees were American Beauty, Cider House Rules, and The Green Mile, amazing, The Insider, amazing, and Sixth Sense, amazing. You know, like I don't who would you go for, Sergio? Because I'll be honest, at the time, I actually wanted American Beauty to win. At the time.
Well, and here yet again is another crystal clear picture of how different you and I are. I did not want American Beauty to win. I was very upset when it won. But because when you again, you have to look at it from the standpoint of how I view films and what I tend to prefer.
Right. You were probably The Insider.
Exactly. That was my pick, but I went in knowing there's probably no chance because it was so talky, right? I thought honestly, I knew Green Mile didn't have a shot. It was too hokey, although wonderful film and a wonderful book. The Sixth Sense I thought would be the stealer. Like I thought, okay, if it gets it, that'll be the feel-good win for me, but also worthy of the win. But when American Beauty won, and it wasn't until after this that I really started to explore film even in more detail, that I was like, yeah, you start to learn the trends of what tends to win, so you can kind of see it coming. I'm still able to be shocked by movies like Crash winning, but you know, it's one of those things where American Beauty on rewatch later, I was like, this has all the hallmarks of a good Best Picture win, because it is accessible to so many different audiences. You gotta love dialogue-driven movies to like The Insider. You know, I was actually, like I said, hopeful of The Sixth Sense winning, but I didn't think that's a popcorn flick. You know, I'm in hindsight, I think it made it in there ahead of other movies it should have been. So,
and that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, honestly, if we were to redo it today, I would be Magnolia or Being John Malkovich. Like those would be like, just for where I am today, those would be the two. But they weren't even nominated. So like honestly, if Being John Malkovich had been nominated, that's the one I would have wanted to win. So like of the ones that were actually nominated, I can see why at the time I was like, I hope American Beauty wins. But I mean, I love 4 of those 5 movies that are nominated, and I do like the Green Mile, or not the Cider House Rules. It's just like, I mean, Cider House Rules is clearly the weak link there of the ones nominated for me. Like Being John Malkovich and Magnolia
it's the only one I haven't seen, so I need to watch it at some point.
It's okay. It's fine. Even Topsy Turvy I liked. Like Topsy Turvy won for costume design, and it was also nominated for like whatchamacallit, art direction. So I mean, just The Matrix was this year. Like even if The Matrix had been nominated, I'd have been like, fuck yeah, The Matrix.
Hey, if you go back, this is my shameless plug. If you go back to the early days of this show, did a whole show on the movies of 1999, and here in a bit I'm going to want to do one on the movies of 1985, because that was another big year for memorable films. And so so get busy, Susan. 1985, look them up.
1985. All right. So but Fight Club. I mean, come on, Fight Club is.
I'm telling you.
Come on.
These days, Fight Club would get nominated.
Yeah. Oh well, but that's the thing is, like, imagine if they had the expanded nominations. This list, you would have taken a look at that Best Picture nominated list and been like, holy shit, how do you even vote? Like, how do you even decide? Because these are the movies: Magnolia, Being John Malkovich, Fight Club, and Matrix would have absolutely been nominated. And Election, Oh my God. Jesus. It's insane this year. This year was
It's
just
a huge year.
literally insane.
Huge year.
Talented
for
Mr.
cinema.
Ripley would have been nominated too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Very
interesting times indeed.
wonderful,
Well, Susan,
outstanding pick, Susan. Thank you.
yes, absolutely. Great. He beat me to the punch. Absolutely great pick. I'm glad that you saw so much in it because you're right. It's a very complex film with some really human moments, and Chris Cooper giving one of his most chilling performances, and I fell in love with Chris Cooper's acting with this movie. He's wonderful.
How he wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actor, I don't
exactly.
understand.
And he did win. He won an award. He won an Oscar. I'm trying to remember the film.
Yeah, later. And it was like a makeup. Like, honestly, it was one of those like makeup things where it's like, yeah, okay, you should have won. Like, and Kevin Spacey won, and I get it, and that's cool. But like, Chris Cooper was the standout. The standout in this one.
Yeah,
honestly, he's so good in this movie.
He's a treasure. Yeah. I forget about him sometimes.
He won Best Supporting Actor for adaptation.
Adaptation. There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
And he's good in that. Like, he's good and fun in that. So like, all right, but I don't think he wins that without. I don't even think he gets the role without American Beauty, because that was the role. Even though he'd been a working actor for a while before this movie came out, I don't think he, like this movie really blew him onto the scene in a big way. Yeah,
absolutely. Someday one of us will pick Chris Cooper. So, all right. Well, that brings us to the close of Oscar picks, and we look forward to doing this again because some of us have a bunch of movies we've got to watch. I'm talking about myself, Susan, not just you.
Me too. Look, honestly, like my list of Oscar-winning movies that I need to see is not, a small list.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we should do this again sometime soon. So. Yeah. All right. Well, you don't forget, you should also sometime soon run over to Facebook and Instagram and check us out. Make sure you give us a like and follow. You can find out what we're watching. You can find out what we're going to be talking about. You can find out about past shows because we've done quite a bit of work here.
I heard from my family the last episode of Films That Made Me Cry was very popular. So.
Oh, nice. I like that. Absolutely. That is good.
I was chastised for not mentioning Old Yeller, but.
Oh man. Oh, my heart. I remember watching that as a kid and looking at my parents afterwards like, why would you make us watch this? I don't understand.
See, I didn't cry for that one because I knew it was coming. I knew it was, but you know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So like I was totally prepared, but yeah, it's. He saves the kids. That's the important thing.
Exactly.
He saves the kids. Absolutely. Just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's where the movie could have ended. Oh, man. All right. Also, make sure that as you follow us here on YouTube, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Also, click the notification bell so you know when our episodes land. And give us a like. We know we ask for them because we love likes. So we're going to be shameless in our requests. But we're going to continue to do good work for you because, again, if you love talking movies like we do, then it's all worth the effort. So with that, we'll move into this week's segments. Paul, we'll start with you. What the hell did I just watch? It's time.
Yeah. All right. So this one, I kind of gave you guys a heads up that I found my movie, and honestly, I stumbled upon this one because. As a what the hell did I just watch? Because it's a movie that I've been wanting to see for a while now, a very long time, even since it came out, primarily because of who directed it and wrote it. It's a Spike Jonze movie. It's called Her. It's from 2013. Speaking of being John Malkovich, who directed, Spike Jonze directed Being John Malkovich, this is one where he wrote and directed it. And winner for best writing, Oscar, also nominated for best picture, best score, best original song, and production design. I don't understand how Joaquin Phoenix was not nominated for actor, but I guess that's not for me to decide. But Her is the story of it's in the not too distant future. And honestly, it feels like this movie could have been made this year and it would still have felt like in the not too distant future. That, by the way, so this was made 7 years ago. So that tells you like how good the writing was and everything, because it feels more like just as, if not more prescient for, where we're heading today. But Joaquin Phoenix is coming out of a relationship. You find out later it's actually a marriage, not just, so he's coming out of a marriage. His friends are trying to get him to date and whatnot. And it coincides with a brand new operating system that gets introduced to the world, and it's a new operating system. It's the first artificial intelligence operating system. So the idea being that the operating system learns as you use it, and it becomes it becomes catering, the ability to cater to specifically your needs, what you need, that sort of thing. And a phenomenon happens where people start falling in love with their operating system, and Joaquin Phoenix happens to be one of those people. He falls in love. It's voiced by Scarlett Johansson, who one of the best voiceover works I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, she is just an absolute miracle in this movie. Like, you never see her or any attempt. There is no attempt to like put a face to her or anything like that. None. But you form an image in your head of what she would look like, and so good. And the movie is sincere. It's not trying to be mocking in any way, shape, or form, which is like really the amazing art behind this movie is that it's just that. It's a genuine, honest, sincere look at what constitutes love, how do people fall in love, who can they fall in love with. There is the idea of, no, you're not going to fall in love with your dog. And why? Because, you can only relate to your dog so much. But if there's an artificial intelligence that can relate to you on multiple different levels, because that's the whole idea of artificial intelligence, including emotional, you totally get it. Like, there's absolutely, at no point are you like, why is he doing this? It's more, what the hell is going on? And so the real what the hell moment is, and I sent you guys a thing. And so what ends up happening is that the operating system, Samantha, she takes the name of Samantha. The operating system decides that she wants to be able to experience, and she wants Joaquin Phoenix to experience the physical side of her. And so, like, she goes and finds a surrogate. Oh, and I am telling you, it is intentionally cringy and intentionally like, what the hell is this? And it's a mind-blowing scene. It goes way too long but intentionally, like, it is just a masterful scene of, oh my fucking God, what is going on here? And the whole movie is, and honestly, like, the whole movie is like that, because you're literally, you start questioning, would this happen to me? Like, what would, have I ever been in an emotionally vulnerable state where I would be like, yeah, I could see myself just, wanting to get rid of the complications of a physical connection and just deal with the emotional connection. And like, it's just the whole movie. I cannot possibly recommend this movie. 5 tacos with guac. If you're not familiar with our rating system, we use tacos instead of stars. And if you like it more, you can add some guac to it. And so this 5 tacos with guac, so very good. I loved this movie. And Susan, especially, honestly, like you've mentioned how much you like being John Malkovich. The Spike Jonze is it's very much in that early Chris Pratt, you know, Star-Lord, fantastic in this. Amy Adams, who I did for one of our like, you know, movie actors thing in this, fantastic. Just everything about this movie is stellar. I cannot recommend it enough. And you will be sitting there during parts of it like, what the fuck is going on here? How is this happening? The ending is touching and amazing. Everything. Just, I can't, it just, everything about it. Please watch it. It's on Netflix.
All right.
Or was it Prime? Shit. We don't need to advertise one service over another. It doesn't matter. It's available on Netflix or Prime, one of the other. Just if you have it, just look up Her, and you'll know automatically if you've got it or
not. Oh yeah, yeah. It's been on my list because I'm a big Joaquin Phoenix fan, and so it's just one of those where I'm like, hey, I got to be in a mood, and now I know for sure that I have to be in a mood if I'm gonna watch it. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. Well, as always, Paul, we can count on you to bring us weird and fun stuff on What the Hell Did I Just Watch? So thank you very much. That brings us to this week's edition of Susan Finally Saw. We'll turn it over to you, Susan.
Okay, well, this one I know I can already guarantee the reaction I'm going to get from Paul. It is a movie that was on my list.
Okay.
That I had not seen before, and I'm wishing truly that I had not seen it. Paul, in this movie, you commented not good on any level.
Yeah.
I watched Zoolander 2.
I honestly, just pause. I'm asking you to pause, Susan, on this, because like people who are giving you movies, who the fuck is giving you Zoolander 2? Like, what kind of fucking and no apologies to the person who gave you that movie. No apologies to the person who gave you that movie. Who the fuck are you that you're telling somebody they need to watch Zoolander 2? Like, you're a fucking idiot, quite frankly, and I'm not even holding back. Okay. I don't care who gave you that movie. They're a fucking idiot.
You're like, Mom, I need to tell you.
Mama.
Sorry, your mom's an idiot.
It wasn't her.
No, it wasn't my mom for sure. My mom probably has no clue what that is. But yeah, ridiculous. So it was so discombobulated. It was not funny. Like, it was like just basically riding the coattails of Zoolander. Like, it tries to make this, deep story and connection, and it just isn't there. Like, there's too many things that are just ridiculous about it. Like, it's absurd.
It's garbage. It's garbage. It's utter garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't watch it.
I've not seen it. I have seen Zoolander, and I did not enjoy Zoolander. So of course I wasn't going to go anywhere near Zoolander 2.
You definitely wouldn't enjoy this one. Like, the only thing about it is I think so Ben Stiller directed this. I think he directed both the Zoolander movies.
Probably.
But he did the directing was good. That's about the only thing that was good about it.
And then
when you're making a crap movie, sorry, the direction's not good because you're making a crap movie.
It's better than you would expect when you see everything else going on.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like the ridiculousness of the story. I mean, there's too many. It's just not. This is 100% a Zero Taco movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's only our third.
And this is why I wanted you to run your list by me, because I knew there would be crap like Zoolander 2. And yet you don't listen to me. You go watch it anyway.
No, because it is on the list. I have to watch it.
Okay.
Whether I want to or not, whether it's crap or not, whether it's amazing, it doesn't matter.
If that person gave you more than just Zoolander 2, I am giving you dispensation. You can remove any other movie that person gave you because that person's a tool.
No, I do not agree with that. It is on the list. It must be watched. If Waterworld's on there, you watch Waterworld.
Waterworld,
She watched Waterworld. Leave her alone on that.
But have you watched Waterworld 2? I'm kidding.
God,
There's no Waterworld 2.
I hate people sometimes.
This is, I think the lesson here is that and we've said this more than once. There are three of us, and we all watch movies in a very different fashion, and which is, we're a good sampling of the whole world. And so there are those who enjoyed this, and I don't know that even people weren't maybe trolling you if they added something like this, but even so, there's good, there's bad, and it's out there. So, I'm not saying it's all watchable, but I've certainly discovered some duds in my journey. So,
That's my problem with putting something like Zoolander 2 on the list of when somebody says, hey, give me movies that I absolutely must see. Putting Zoolander 2 on there, you're either a troll, and fuck you for being a troll, or you have to know that most people, there's no way you don't know that people hate this movie, that nobody that you're the only person on the planet that likes this movie. There's no way you don't know this, and yet you're putting this out there anyway. Well, here's a movie that I like that nobody else likes. I think you'll like it because I'm a fucking idiot. No.
Not Zoolander 2,
no,
but I mean,
because
here's
the thing
is, if I was the one that had given you that movie.
Zoolander I would get, because Zoolander is a cult classic. People love it. I get that. Hudson Hawk is a movie that, there are cult classics, but even people that love Zoolander pan Zoolander 2 as being utter garbage, because it is utter garbage. It's I don't know.
I'm having to go through and I'm expanding every single one of the comments so I can find out who it is. And I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I am going to tell you the other thing. I found it. The other ones on the list that this person gave me: Zombieland, Bruce Almighty, Blues Brothers, and Red Dawn.
Wow, that's all over the place.
I hate Bruce Almighty. That's a whole other thing, though.
Which one was the first one?
Zombieland.
No. Which was it, Bruce or Evan first? It was Bruce, right? Bruce Almighty.
I don't like either one.
They're funny. I enjoy
them.
They're
so
they're
milk
really
toast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some of us like that, Paul.
I know, but that's just such a shit list for what movies do I absolutely have to see? Red Dawn, you're way too young. Red Dawn's not honestly, I am not kidding. I loved Red Dawn as a kid.
You don't even know which one they're recommending.
Don't be offended, because here's the thing about Red Dawn is that Red Dawn is a absolute communism bad. And you had to have grown up during the Cold War to appreciate Red Dawn. Honestly, and I'm not pretending on that. There is a level to that movie that you kind of have to I love Red Dawn, but I would never tell somebody that, I would never tell somebody, oh, Red Dawn's a movie you have to see, because it's not that great of a movie. I just have this, I don't know. And Zombieland, I don't know if you would like Zombieland, because you don't. That's the other thing. You have seen it.
Yeah, I have seen it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't like the horror movies, and I don't know so.
Well, and I think part of it, Paul, and at least maybe I've discovered this more so because I do get a chance to talk to Susan more often. And I'm not. Before I say this, I'm not saying Zoolander 2 is the signal of this. But I have noticed a sense of Susan, your scope broadening. And when that happens, and I think, Paul, you would agree with this, when we broaden our scope for film especially, we're going to take in and go, ooh, maybe not that one.
This isn't for
right?
me. Yes.
And
for
so
sure.
That's what I think might be happening outside of this particular suggestion.
For sure. But there are exceptions to that. Exception one is you do understand there are some things that just aren't for you. And for Susan, that's going to be horror movies. So if I'm sitting down and making a list of movies that I love, that that would be make as broad of a list, give me 20 movies broad. I'm not including any horror movies because they're not for her. You know, I know that. And the other thing is, the other part of it is, there are movies that aren't for anybody. Like, there are just movies that are genuine garbage, and there might be 2 people on the planet that like them. And that is Zoolander 2. Like, Cool World is another one. Like, if somebody came to me and said, I love
Cool World.
Cool World is utter fucking trash. It's just trash. And if you told somebody it's utter garbage and trash.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our show. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, like, it sucks. Like, when's the last time you've actually watched Cool World?
Oh, I'm sure it hasn't aged well, but back when it came out, I went to go see it.
It was garbage when it came out. It would be garbage today. And I was genuinely looking forward to seeing Cool World, and you know.
And we end up finding out. I mean, again, I mean, I'm not gonna agree with Cool World. I enjoyed it. I'm sure if I watched it today, I'll be like, okay. But I guess what I'm saying is that and I hold the list sort of close to my heart because, again, I've known Susan for as long as I have. Regardless of what's on the list, and it came from so many different people that, you know, of course there's going to be, you know, duds on it. I put some movies on that you probably think are duds, 13th Warrior, but I loved that film, you know?
But like, why would you, but you know other people don't. So if you're making a list of movies that somebody should see, why are you going to put a movie on there that you know is generally thought of poorly? Like,
because it's my viewpoint of that film, and if I enjoyed it, I think that someone else might. You might be that second person.
Understood. However, you're not trying to subject the person to this is, you know, like you're trying to help a person see movies that are really good. All right. Yeah, you're right, Susan.
Let's move on.
This is another conversation.
Sorry.
Yeah, I genuinely
I did not mean to start a fire.
No, it's fine.
In the middle of the show.
I genuinely hated that Zoolander 2 was on your list when I saw the list, and I hate it even more now that you actually.
I'm glad you didn't delete it and then send it back to her and be like, "No, this was your list. This was really your list."
Yeah, I wish I had done that. Such.
That's what I'm trying.
Oh, wait, hold on.
If I stray from the list, I get flack for it. If I watch it on the list, I still get flack for it.
No. I'm not giving you flack for watching that. I'm giving the person who put that on your list flack. This is not on you at all.
But now here's my last point, and it's not to try to one up you, Paul. It's genuinely in my head. To feel how you feel about the film, you had to have watched it.
No, I haven't seen it all the way through. I watched it.
See, here's another conversation for another day.
No, you can watch 5 minutes of a movie and know this is shit. I'm done. I'm out.
Okay,
I probably watched more than 5 minutes. I honestly, because I had seen the first Zoolander. I probably gave it 15 minutes, before I was like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, and so again, another point where we're very different because I hated the second Anchorman with a raging fire of passion. Hated the second Anchorman, but I watched the whole thing. So
yeah, I would not. Yeah. I have seen enough movies in my life to know that the possible one laugh that I'm going to get out of this movie is not worth the time of me completing this movie. I have seen enough. I have put in my time. I have put in my time with a whole lot of shit movies. I don't need to waste my time with shit movies anymore.
That's fair,
all there is to it.
We're not all Paul. So
well,
all right. Okay, well, Susan, this was your segment.
People suck. All right. And it's not you. I love the two of you so much. I can't even tell you. But
I love having these
people in general. I just hate people.
Susan, we should give you an extra 5 minutes just to tell us how your week was. Oh my goodness. All right then.
Oh wait, were you serious?
Yeah. Oh my. Well, we're nothing if not honest here on the show. So Susan, thank you for your segment this week. We look forward to whatever you pick next week. Please make it one that Paul said was horrible. So
no, just pick something you want to watch. Like honestly, don't opinion of it shouldn't play into what you like, what you pick at all.
Well, and you know, that brings
your
up an
list.
interesting. Here's an interesting question, Susan. I wonder, and you don't have to answer me now, but I guess if you looked at the scope of your movie list, you know, maybe would you be able to say that there's a movie not on there that you're like, oh, I really want to see that. I'd be interested to hear about that sometime.
Yeah.
You know, so a little bit of a twist, but that list is not
no,
all
that's a good
inclusive,
point.
so.
Have you added any movies to your list? Like just.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. That
you want to see, or that you've decided.
Or that somebody has said, oh, I really like this movie, and then you kind of listen to them, and they didn't specifically say to you, hey, you should see it, but more like you heard people comment about it, and you're like, you know what, I'm adding that to my list because I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Good. I'm glad. That makes me super, super happy because that's your list, and you should own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do, and that's why I am watching as many of them as I can, warts and all.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of them.
I'm going to add some of the filmography of Jean-Claude Van Damme. So,
to your list or to her list? Because
to
you need to stop. No. You need to stop.
I'm kidding.
Okay. You need to stop.
Lionheart. No,
this isn't Sergio's list for Susan. It's Susan's list.
I will create the Sergio Barrera trolley list, and that'll be for 2021. So. All right. Well, Susan, thank you for allowing us to invade your segment and have these deep discussions. We certainly love to hear from you and look forward to more of your contributions on Susan Finally Saw. And that brings us then to this week's edition of Real Time Rewind. And again, in the month of November, I said that I would share movies that are so bad that they're good. And I believe this is the last entry that will fall under this category. Whatever the case might be, my entry this time is a movie from 2002 starring Vin Diesel called Triple X. It is absolutely a ridiculous film, but it is wonderful. This movie came out. It's no Zoolander 2, but
no. I'm all ears.
This movie came out at the height of the extreme sports phenomenon as it burst onto the scene. And Vin Diesel, I guess, didn't get enough out through the Fast and Furious. In fact, I don't even know if that series had begun yet. I have to do my research. But Triple X was one of his first sort of solo vehicles. And hilariously enough, it was bad/good enough to spawn 2 sequels. The second one did not star Vin Diesel, but I loved it. It was with Ice Cube. It would easily make this list for the month of November. And then there was a follow-up third movie in which Vin Diesel was back, even though we learned in the second movie that he was dead. It's a fantastic series. It's ridiculous, and I love them all, but you got to start with the original, Triple X, 2002. And if you haven't seen it, you need to. I'm sure you can find it on streaming services and just let go of your, anything about reality, and just know that it's a great opportunity to watch motorcycles and other vehicles jump and think to yourself, that's not the angle that would have made it land that way. And so, it's a lot of fun.
I'm sure that's what everybody's going to be thinking when they watch that.
It's ridiculous no, seriously, because they'll jump towards something that's really high, and you can tell visually it's so poorly shot that the trajectory won't come close, but then they automatically sail over the fence. I'm like, no, they would run right into that fence. And so
physics does not play a role in Triple X.
And overacting to the hilt. I mean, it's just so bad, but it's so awesome.
Yeah, this movie doesn't get made without Fast and Furious, by the way. So Fast and Furious was 2001. This was 2003. Like this was absolutely riding the coattails of Fast and Furious.
So a minute ago, Sergio, I wanted to comment on this. I saw what you did there when you said that he had used this as a vehicle to continue on. I was like, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
My quote leaving the theater when I saw this might have been something along the lines of, that was so dumb, but so fun.
Oh, yeah. I can't disagree with that. As a matter of fact, it's hilarious because you get all kinds of weird stuff if you try to find the title of the movie on Google. So just know it's out there. It's fantastic. I was trying to find the director of the film.
I can get it for you real quick. I've got it queued up. Oh,
because they're known for action movies. In fact, they directed all three.
Rob Cohen is the director.
Yeah.
Also director of Stealth, Dragonheart,
Yes.
The Mummy,
Stealth,
Topless Prophet.
Oh, I do have one more.
He's a producer.
Stealth is another one of those. It's ridiculous, but so good. I love it. So, all right. Well, that concludes another real-time rewind. We're going to take a moment to rewind and remind you that you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Look up Real to Real Talk, just like it's spelled on the screen, and check us out. Comment, talk to us, let us know what you're watching. What ridiculous movies do you think are awesome? What movies do you want us to put on Susan's list? What movies do you think Paul should watch from way back when? Or what weirdness can you suggest to him? I gave him a few. I mean, yes, Lamageddon. And
I don't know that I'm going to do that one.
We want to hear from you. So join us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as here on YouTube. Comment below. Let us know what you're thinking about the episodes, even when we fight. And give us a like, because, look, we put our heart and souls into it for you. Click that subscribe button. Click the notification bell, and you'll know when our episodes land. And you can be with us week to week as we talk movies. Now we're going to take a moment to do something called Real Quick Reviews. And, Paul, we were talking earlier about how not much came out, but you always have some great suggestions for us. So I'm curious to know what you got.
So I did watch a couple movies that I could recommend this week. So The Impossible with Ewan McGregor.
Ooh, Susan.
Is Susan going to perk up? There we go. With Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts, and it's the movie about the tsunami in Thailand that, and it's a British family that survives the tsunami. It's actually really good. But here's the highlight. The highlight is Tom Holland. It's a super young Tom Holland. So Spider-Man as like a tween or early teen, and I mean, ridiculous. He is so freaking good in this movie. I can't even tell you. Like he almost carries the movie, even though Naomi Watts was nominated for an Oscar in that. So bravo to Tom Holland at like 13 or 14 for this movie being as good as he is. Also watched another I'm trying to close off my Sofia Coppola ginormous gaping hole, and so I caught Marie Antoinette this week, and it's interesting. It's definitely worth a watch if you like period pieces. I highly recommend it. If you don't care for period pieces, I'd be like, maybe you might like it. It's a tough watch. Like it is very like it's a costume drama. But the twist is that she throws in like modern music, so that aspect of it is fun. But just the view on Marie Antoinette, it's like the fun part about it is you're not really sure if she's actually trying to make you sympathetic towards Marie Antoinette, which even just trying to accomplish that is an interesting thing for a movie to try to accomplish, and she does it successfully. Like you're almost like, I almost feel bad for her. Like it's interesting. So I do recommend it. It was extremely well made. Might not be for everybody though, so just take that as you will. And lastly, just because it's Thanksgiving week, I can't recommend enough Home for the Holidays. That's all.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will flash all three on screen as you just saw, and that way you can know what to look up in addition to anything else we talked about today. Paul, I do want to tell you that I caught The Imposter, and oh boy, wow.
Right?
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, folks, check out last week's episode. Yeah. And
Yep.
I'm not really happy with my hometown after watching that show.
It explains. I told Sergio, and it explains a lot about what Sergio's going through now.
That's funny.
I mean, you liked Cool World after all.
Wow. Oh my goodness. It has been a fun episode for sure. Susan, I don't know. Do you already have any ideas about what you might watch? You'd have to tell us, but do you have any ideas already for next week's entry?
I've got a few.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, we always look forward to them, and we'll keep sending you weirdness, Paul, in hopes. I'm almost hoping, like my goal now is to have Paul say yes to one of my suggestions. So we'll see what happens.
I've already said yes. I'm definitely doing one of the ones that you recommended.
Excellent.
Because it ties in really well with another one that I was going to do. And I actually might do it for this week because I'm going to have a little bit of extra time this week. But
oh yeah, that's right. We have a holiday coming up.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, it'll be before the Thanksgiving holiday. So if you celebrate, we wish you and your families well. To the both of you, enjoy the time. And to all of you, I think the three of us would agree if we say, guys, please be safe out there. You guys know what's happening in the world. You know about this pandemic. And, listen, look, all three of us, we're all good friends. We could easily have gone to Florida to be with Paul, but what do? We stay home. And we do these things remotely because we want to take good care of each other. But if we were all in the same place, we would all be wearing our masks. And so, I'm going to talk about that real quick here. Wear your mask, take care of each other, socially distance.
Cover your
each other
nose.
some love. Yeah, cover the nose. Absolutely. With that little PSA, we will come to the conclusion of another episode. And again, Paul, Susan, thank you for always being awesome. And to all of you who watch, thank you for being with us. Remember, you're awesome, you're amazing, and the world's a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on Real to Real Talk.